Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jump Up Supercast, the only podcast on the internet that Big Tobacco is trying to stop. I'm your host, Will, and joining me today, the Donald to my Sora, Musamil.
Hello. Oh, God, that was bad.
That was very good.
Don't encourage this.
The Goofy.
Oh, my God.
Brandon.
Wait, I'm Goofy?
Yeah, dude, congratulations.
I don't even know what to say. I'm just...
That was actually pretty good. Damn. The Roxists to my Sora, Saphir.
I don't even know what he sounds like. Sea salt ice creams. Eat them.
God damn it, you should have given me Roxas. I could have sang and it would have been beautiful.
Eat those ice
Well,
creams.
that's fine. And Noah, he's King Mickey, folks.
Oh, hello, folks.
That was pretty good. That was the best one. I'm glad we finished strong. How's everyone doing this week?
I'm sick.
You're sick?
I've been sick all week. It's awful.
Dude, same. The Regis method says you don't mention when you're sick on camera, but we're doing it. I've been sick all week.
I mean, we're not doing it on camera. We're doing it on microphone.
See, that's why I
Regis
like
didn't
you,
have
Brandon.
advice for podcasts, okay? So
Regis
Yeah.
is the premier podcaster of his generation.
he doesn't know how to podcast. It's fine.
Outside of that, though, how's everyone been feeling about video games this week?
Pretty great actually, because I'm happy that I was almost right about something.
You were inches. Some may remember last week made a bet that there would be a release date for Kingdom Hearts 3 revealed before the podcast went live over the weekend. Now, some of our sharp-eyed viewers may have recognized that Moose made that bet before D23 Expo Japan, where Kingdom Hearts was going to be shown off. So people might have thought, oh, Moose knew that and was planning ahead. We want to clear the air. He didn't know D23 was happening. He didn't plan on it taking place. It was entirely by sheer dumb luck that he got anything at all out of that bet. So just everyone help understand that.
Except for he was still wrong.
I mean, I was still wrong, but I was closer than I had any right to be. So I'll take it.
Also, all those rumors were proven false. That they were going to announce a release date at E3. They said that.
That's
was false.
fine. That's fine.
So
Well,
2019, here we come, baby.
They still said
2019, not happening. 2018, I believe.
And it looks great.
The trailer
It's
ends
fine.
with 2018. It looks
Trailer
good.
looks-
Ariel makes me weep.
Very nice.
Yeah.
But Brandon said the magic word there. The magic word that is the theme of this week's news. Can you guess what it is?
Babies?
Babies, very good. There's a lot of babies. Not correct, though. Rumors. We got ourselves Rumor City this week, baby. Game journalists are hitting it hard in the paint. And leading off, big one. I think this is interesting. Of note, we mentioned last week during the beloved and frankly critically acclaimed hot take segment that Metroid Prime 4, there was rumors about its development team, that Bandai Namco Singapore, former Star Wars 13 developers, were working on that game. As soon as that podcast goes up, we get an update that it was Bandai Namco Singapore, but is now being moved to Bandai Namco Japan. And in addition, the same man who broke the original rumors, right, on his LinkedIn profile describing the game, also mentioned an online component for the game as well. So there's a lot to talk about with this game this week. First and foremost, how do we feel about the idea of it moving from Bandai Namco Singapore, a team that appears to have more first-person shooter experience than we expected, to Bandai Namco Japan, which has not made a first-person shooter in quite some time?
I mean, the whole reason I was baffled by the Bandai Namco rumors in the first place, before we knew, because there was some rumblings on the internet, right, about Bandai Namco doing this. Before we had any indication that it would be the Singapore studio, right? And I was like, okay, this makes no sense, because they have experience in RPGs and fighting games. What do they know about, first-person adventure shooter games, right? And then the rumor comes out, oh, it's Singapore. Oh, that makes sense. They've made AAA games that involve shooting, There's a lot of people who worked on, like, a Far Cry game, for example. So it's like, okay, that makes sense. And then you tell me, oh, just kidding. No, it is. They did do some work, but it's primarily being done in Japan now, who, once again, has no experience in this genre. I don't get it.
We are back to the original issue at hand, which is the problem.
I mean, it's weird, to be honest. It's very weird. I don't know what, like, Are they, when they say lead development, they're actually just going full front and like we're going to design everything, which is kind of scary, somewhat, considering.
I mean, it's I have because we are going entirely off rumor and hearsay.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell, but like I mean, Bandai Namco worked in conjunction with Nintendo on several games, most notably Smash 4, right? So I thought, out of what are potential gains out of moving it to Japan? Why would they want to do it in the first place? Was sort of my thought, and I think the biggest thing is that you are closer to Nintendo headquarters. The communication can be more direct, right? Like you can more easily send someone who has more of a history with Metroid as a series to help sort of guide that team in the same way that Sakurai guided the team for Smash.
Yeah, because I mean, I imagine it's easier for Tanabe, producer at Nintendo, who's producing Metroid Prime, to communicate with the Japanese team than it is a team out in Singapore, you know. So I guess that's part of the reason is like Nintendo can have a lot more, not control. They would have control regardless, but you know it's easier to communicate with the Japanese team that's A, closer in location, and B, speaks your native language, you know.
Yes, those are just barriers that are taken down.
And also, Retro Studios didn't actually have any experience in video games.
Yeah, and that's another thing worth mentioning. I mean,
They worked on Turok previously. Like they were people who whatever studio worked on Turok, it was people who left that to form that. So they had experience there. You know, it's not to say they were just a brand new studio.
But then they made the Guy game. That was their most notable thing as that studio before Nintendo took over. And then they decided then they chose Metroid after a full list of experimentations.
I would say, though, I mean, it is nice in that it gives us a chance. I mean, like, this is a series from Nintendo that has a history of less experienced teams taking a shot at it and it going well, right? And it going poorly. We have Prime and we have Other M as sort of the two potential pathways, right?
Or, like, even Samus Returns was great.
Yes, sure. But, like, the thing is, in my mind, like, the issues with Other M weren't the development team, you know, like it was the things around, it was the story, it was which a lot of that stuff had oversight from Nintendo.
It was the voice acting and the story mainly.
Yeah. And so I think that there's a chance that this can just work out totally fine.
Yeah, it is why I really hope that Tanabe actually takes the lessons that he's learned with Retro, in regards to like the way in which like the story, like the character's supposed to be formed, and just applies it to this new team and kind of like says like, look, this is the idea, and try and push forward with that idea. Like, I hope.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this is the same guy who produced the first 3 Metroid Primes, so like, I it's not like in complete brand new hands, right?
I'm not worried at all. Like, it's in good hands. It's Nintendo's going to be overseeing it. I'm not worried.
Now, the LinkedIn, like I said, did mention online play. Last week when you made your hot takes, Brandon, you said you bet that the game did not have online play. Since Metroid, if this is true, which we're taking the rest of the stuff of his statements as being true, then this indicates that there will be online play. Do we want it to be? How do we want it to work? Do we think that Metroid Prime Hunters and like the picking characters is the path, right? Because Metroid is a series that is steeped in isolation and in being alone, so it feels weird to try to, I think, sort of incorporate an online matchmaking, like deathmatch experience.
When you're playing the campaign, multiplayer is a definite no-no in Metroid.
Yeah.
I don't think there'll be co-op.
But something like, didn't Metroid Prime 2 have a separate multiplayer mode?
Metroid Prime 2 had a separate multiplayer
and it
mode.
Was fun as hell. It was really
It was really fun. It was fun. Me and Noah played it on our YouTube channel, by the way.
So like
That's really dead. Not affiliated with the Jump Up Supercast.
So you take something like that, a separate mode, but now you have the benefit of online play. I think that's totally fine, and you know, it makes Metroid Prime 4 an easier sell to a broader audience too. You know, as long as it's not affecting the single player, I'm fine.
I just want to say that I hope they don't do some sort of completionist thing like they did in the third one, where you have to have it. You have to like
scan everything.
What was it? Post something on somebody's wall on the fucking Wii thing. And since they shut down the internet service on the Wii, you can never complete that game 100% now. It was like a medal or something. Like they had its own in-game achievements, right?
Yes.
And one of them was like you have to post something
to share with someone else, and you can no longer do that because of the Wii
you can
Online.
No longer do it. Like that kind of shit really grinds my gears.
Yeah, it's annoying. But I mean, I guess my biggest issue is that like Metroid has been dormant for a long time, right? And I would like it to be something more than just a functional
Returns.
multiplayer, right? Well, not even just Samus Returns. Yes, but like that's a remake. Metroid Prime as a series has been dormant since the Wii, right? Like, I would like it to be more than just a functional multiplayer, right? I don't want to just be like, oh, because let's be honest, like it's not like the shooting aspect of Prime was ever the best feature of that game, right?
Yeah,
it was never the strongest point. It was the world and the
I always thought
exploration.
it was weird when people would even call it a first-person shooter. I'm like, shooter? No. First person? Yes. Like, I never considered it a shooter. I thought, I always thought it was a first-person exploration adventure game.
Yeah.
And that is not the focus, right? In the same way that like Deus Ex is a game where you shoot, but they get away with immersive sim. I think that it's fair that we can give Metroid first-person adventure.
But don't get me wrong, Metroid Prime does have fantastic combat, but it's not.
It's not the core of it. And there are other companies that do it, equally as well, if not better. But moving on to the next set of rumor mills, this one comes to us from Laura Kate Dale, a name that might be familiar if you followed any of the NX rumors. She played a role there.
NX rumor.
NX. But she came out, little thing on it with Eurogamer, with Kotaku UK. I'm sorry. Yeah. Let me correct that. That Vicarious Visions, the people that made the new Crash Bandicoot trilogy, are also working on a Spyro trilogy, have been working on it, and plan to release this September. Oh,
hell yes. I need this.
So there's clear enthusiasm for this. There's clear excitement.
I've never played a Spyro game. All I see is just a picture of Spyro and the female dragon from Shrek. So sell me on this. What the fuck is
the
it?
female dragon from Shrek. That's I don't know what that means. Okay, that is the beloved character Cinder with a deep pathos, voiced by some actress. I forget.
Okay, whatever.
No, but actually, the thing that is good is that these are the first 3 Spyro games, 1, 2, 3, stepping up to bat. The ones that are
good ones.
The only good
regarded
ones.
well.
Just
probably
like Crash, the only
ones.
good ones on the PS1.
Originally made by Insomniac.
Ooh, I love Insomniac.
And if it gets, I imagine it'll be getting a similar treatment that Insane Trilogy did. Probably come out at $40. So that's all exciting. The rumor says that it's going to be exclusive to PS4, timed much like it appears Crash is going to be. And there's just sort of an enthusiasm for that because it indicates that, one, this is also owned by Activision, so they see Crash's success and it made an impact, right? Out of games that made an impact in the industry last year, Crash can now count themselves among them, right? Because now we see these 2 long dormant franchises coming back in a big way. If Crash, we are basically have all but confirmed that Crash is getting a new game made. So then we get a chance to say, hey, guess what? Also, Spyro, if this does well, could potentially also be getting a conversation about coming back, and in not a embarrassing way, right? Because Spyro, even like Crash, actually kept going along after it was important and relevant, right?
Yeah, there was like a game for the Xbox 360. I got it. It was okay.
Oh, was it the Mutants game or some shit?
No, that's a Crash game. This one is really weird. They did a Lord of the Rings inspired Spyro game where Spyro is voiced by Elijah Wood. Sparks in the first game is voiced by David Spade, and in the second
I'll never
game,
forget that shit.
In the second game, they could not get David Spade again, so then they got Wayne Brady. So you have just a huge change. It's really wild to go back and look at now, but it was not.
I'll never forget that, man.
It was an attempt to make Spyro like continue on, and it didn't work. And I think the actual answer is you should have just stuck to what worked originally, which is why this is exciting, right?
But like, so
and,
there's one thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, yeah. that's important.
There's just one thing that could really just completely kill this for me, and it's if they use the Skylanders design. Like, this needs to be the same thing as Crash, where it's like they take the classic PS1 design. Everything needs to be based around what the PS1 was, just make it look prettier. That's literally all I
would imagine, because Skylanders is pretty much a dead franchise now after Imaginators flopped super hard, that the odds are in the favor for you to get the original design.
I think they'll go the same route.
The people that Activision licenses out to make figurines, they had done Crash and some other stuff. Late last year, they had announced a figurine that looks like classic Spyro, actually. So I wonder if that kind of maybe ties into that. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe a hint of the design.
Yeah.
But once again, that's exciting. This is less game focused as a next rumor, but I think is still interesting. Google, we may have heard of them before. You might have used their service a time or two. Might be developing a streaming console. Oh my gosh.
Streaming console?
A streaming video game console. So it would be, it's codenamed Jetty. Apparently it's been in development for over 2 years now. They were considering releasing it. This is all from The Informant, which is a like very intense tech focused website. Thankfully, other websites then just brought it over to where I wouldn't have to pay for a subscription to read the article. But in development for 2 years, would potentially be able to work on a Chromecast, right? So there could just be a game streaming service in addition to a console like stick that you would stick into your TV. You would stream games rather than download them, and it would primarily be focused on Android games. So that would be games that are already on your phone, Monument Valley, that style of game, potentially there. But with the option to expand into larger scale games if the market demands it. So this thing is weird because we've had multiple attempts by multiple companies to sort of break into the game space over the last in this console generation, right? We have the Ouya, which went very well, of course. Amazon, like you said, which is a huge corporation, right? Tried and sort of flopped. And so now we have Google, who is also, one of the only companies that can rival Amazon in size, maybe throwing their hat into the ring. Do you think of this more as just an initiative from them, just like they have their video streaming service and their music streaming service, just like an other branch of that? Or do you think that they'll be trying to make acquisitions?
So, like, my initial reaction is, so you already compared, like, to the Ouya. Not exactly, but right? But one of the things that pops to mind is a few years back, before the Apple TV 4th generation was officially revealed, there had been all these rumors swirling about, right? Oh, Apple's gonna take the TV games market in a huge way. They're really taking it seriously, and they're coming after the people who like the Wii, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it turns out, well, the Apple TV, it's selling well, but not because of games, right?
Yeah, like, not actually a factor.
No, games is absolutely not a factor, and I think the same is here, right? Like, people like Android games because you can play them anywhere. If you're tying it to the TV, you no longer have an interest. You would much rather play anything else. It's probably going to be a thing that's like, it's mainly focused on, video streaming, etc. But it can do games, but that's not the primary focus. I think it'll just be like that, I don't think that...
Can you clarify one thing? Because I'm not too sure if this is true, but can you clarify this? Did Microsoft make a loss with its first Xbox?
Yes.
Know? Yeah.
Yes.
So
it was not a huge success for them.
Yeah. I think this is how people are going to have to make it, because they're going to have to take a huge loss with the first step and try and build goodwill from there. And then
see that's the thing. That's why I don't think realistically any company, whether it's Samsung or Amazon or Google or Apple, I don't think anyone's actually genuinely interested in making an actual attempt at the console market to make a PlayStation or an Xbox competitor. It's just, I don't think it's worth.
Yes, I think that there's the plan of like, if it goes well then sure, but I think they're fine with taking a small bite out of a big pie. Is sort of, I think, a lot of their perspectives. I think it is worth mentioning. Google did just hire Phil Harrison, who worked as an executive for PlayStation for 15 years and led up a lot of the original Xbox One launch. So, issues with that, but he has experience, right? He's been there. It's not like it's just a bunch of people who are coming in being like, I know how the video games work. Let me tell you. I played Mario Brothers once back in the day. I know what I'm doing. Like, it's people that do know, that have been in the gaming industry. So that is maybe cause for I don't know if hope is the word, but a indicator from Google that they take it seriously, right? But I mean, also we have things like, remember Google Glass?
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody mentioned it today. I was like, wow, people still talk about it.
Like, sometimes Google is just, we'll try a weird thing and just let it die if they don't care, right? Just like, whatever, who cares? Like,
they launch so many products that they just like it, and then they just that make the Vita seem like it has support, from its company. You know, it's like they're really bad about launching new products and then just completely abandoning them. Also, I'm not saying this is reflective on Phil Harrison's job performance, but I do think it's pretty funny that he was at Sony's lowest point and Xbox's lowest point. Like that's when he was there.
It's of note. It's worth mentioning. Funny. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, obviously, it's not like he's the direct.
No, it's not like he's the fault of it. No, he just happened to be there when those companies were making bad decisions.
It's like being on the Titanic twice.
It's a little funny, though.
So,
yeah.
This story has the idea like that they're going to try and do a subscription-based service for this type of game system that they're going for. And I'm not too sure if I'm a fan of that sort of style of subscription. Sorry, go on.
Because it's not like they are like there's the Xbox Game Pass, right? Which is like a subscription service, but it's also like fully featured big games that cost $60, right? Like this is like if you're paying $10 a month for this, then like, hey, but we got to have a conversation because that means that like a lot of these games cost 99 cents. So like unless you plan on buying and doing 10 different games a month on your phone, which most people don't do, that really seems like an overcharge. The pricing of this will have to be very careful.
Just one last note on this. It's just like, I think it's just time and time again with the Ouya and Apple TV and stuff. It's just like mobile games, bringing that to TV never works. I think, you know.
It's not actually that valuable, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Nintendo Switch.
You're right. That makes a good point. But mobile versus handheld, different of note. But yeah, I think so. I think that like half steps are almost guarantee failures, right? And you should not be making half steps when you want to enter this market. You have to be willing to take a hit along the way. Speaking of being willing to take a hit along the way, we got some news about Sea of Thieves talking about the microtransactions in that game. They won't be there at launch. They'll be added 3 months in with the first major content update. It will be entirely cosmetic. You will not be loot boxes. You will just pay $2 to get a monkey that can hang out on your shoulder. It will mostly be pets at launch, they said. And
that's fine.
That's absolutely fine.
I believe that Microsoft's not going to do anything dodgy because they are in no position to do anything dodgy at this point.
Cosmetic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and like it's like. Oh, sorry.
No, go on, do your thing.
It's just like you can't expect a game to have 5 years of post-release support and not have any sort of monetization, right? Like not everything can be Splatoon. And it's just like, and it's fair transactions, you know. It's like, hey, you want this little monkey? Just give us $2, you get your monkey. It's not random bullshit. It doesn't affect gameplay. It's just, hey, this looks cool, and I want this.
You're definitely gonna get the item. There's no chance you're not gonna get it. It's yours if you want. Just pay the extra few bucks.
Even in Overwatch, I don't have a problem with their loot box system because everything's cosmetic. It doesn't change the gameplay at all. There's no pay to win. And that's okay.
Like, and there's still like anger at this, I think, on the internet of like, because I think the word microtransaction just gets anger out of people. We're sort of subtweeting Jim Sterling here a little bit.
The trigger word.
But like, I don't, just like in my mind, a product, a thing that you buy for $2 on the marketplace and then just have in the game is not a microtransaction. That's just DLC. You're just buying cosmetic DLC. Like,
yeah.
It is a finite thing. The maximum you could potentially spend on like 5 of these pets would be $10, and that's like all you could possibly spend, right? Like I think when people
it's like generally speaking there's like it depends upon what type of company it is, really, because like you have people like Ubisoft with For Honor, where it's like they do microtransaction at the yin yang, and they don't design the game where you can get 100% of the content for free. Like you can only get some of it for free because getting 100% would be ridiculous the way they've designed it. So you have to go for microtransaction. You get that level of stupidity with it, and sometimes you get the level with potentially Microsoft here, where it's like a little bit more fair.
And I mean, like, I think it's also worth reminding that like we might have this conversation a lot with Microsoft games in the future, but I think that there's a reason why, which is that all these games could potentially be played for up to 6 months for less than the cost of a box release product with the Game Pass, right? Like, I think that it's fair that they're looking for ways to make up that potential cost because the base product is people are saying, well, wow, look at these microtransactions in this $60 game. But really, like, if you're buying the $60 game, you should only be buying the $60 game if you're planning on playing this game for more than 6 months. At which point, you seem to be so invested that you probably will be fine with spending a little bit extra on this game. So I don't know the scenario of the person that is both hours, putting enough time in this game to last them almost a year, but is mad at spending $2 to make their character look slightly cooler in a first-person game. It seems like it's an imaginary customer.
How do you expect Rare to keep a team on this game to keep giving you content updates if they're not going to monetize it? And they found the most fair way to do it. Like, I don't know what you expect out of Rare, you know? It's like, what do you want them to do?
Because they are adding content for free, right? Like actual gameplay quests and islands and like and whole new missions will be added in that game for no charge. They plan on making it up through this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like cosmetic. People who want cosmetics are funding free gameplay content for everyone for years to come, and that's totally fine.
I guess that's kind of the model that Overwatch uses too, then, right?
Yeah, it's the Overwatch model, except more fair because instead of having random boxes of crap, it's like specific items. You know,
these are specific shit you can buy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's worth mentioning that both Overwatch, as in a similar format to this, is $40 on PC, right? It's also not a full $60 product.
Yeah.
So I think that's of note. So I think that obviously I would say on the scale of evil, this is not very evil. It's not a Battlefront 2.
I wouldn't call it evil at all. I think it's like totally fine.
I think it's 100% fine. I have no issue with it at all.
Now, there is someone, though, that is asking questions about the evil, the Battlefront 2s of the world. We've had for the, as a reaction almost directly to Battlefront 2, in fact, Maggie Hassan, a senator from New Hampshire. Hassan. Maggie Hassan. A senator went and delivered a message to the ERSB, the Electronic Softboards Rating Board, about classifying loot boxes and addressing them in their ratings because of potentially addicting traits that can be found, particularly towards children, through the act of opening loot boxes, right? And also having a conversation about where the line for gambling is, right? We're not, Saf is kind of a legal expert. The rest of us aren't. Do you think that there is, that A, the ESRB should be worried about this, and B, what do you think would be the best path to address loot boxes going into the future?
So I'm going with the statement that's already established by the Gambling Commission, where I don't consider it to be gambling. It's very much in breach of other regulations that's already in place here. I don't even go into that, but I think specifically just pointing it to loot boxes kind of gets rid of the entire picture of like these types of purchases, these types of in-game transactions as a whole, because there are, as you stated before, there's like levels of like microtransactions, generally speaking, that could be bad, that will get ignored. So I don't think it should be limited to loot boxes. I feel as though like it should be a bigger scope, because like saying that loot boxes is gambling, I can understand the arguments, but it's not something that would be agreeable.
I mean, I don't care
problems
about
holding up legally.
From a legal aspect.
I don't care about what it is legally currently. The ESA has to do something about this. Like, it's just straight up like it's extremely predatory, you know. Because it feeds into that same like people with addictive personalities. I mean, honestly, myself, you know, it's addicting, and these companies said it in a way where it feels gratifying to do it too, right? Like, you feel good opening that loot box, you know?
Mm-hmm. It feels good to crack a pack, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like trading cards, man. And I'll tell you, back in the day, opening a pack of Pokemon cards, and there was nothing better than getting that one you wanted, you know?
Yeah, but it wasn't on the
good.
same level of trading cards. Like, this is somewhat aggressive practices, more so than just simply gambling. So this is something that they need to specifically target and look at in relation to these types of transactions. And that's why I say just limiting it to like loot boxes and trying to make an argument for gambling wouldn't be the best choice, but rather like the way in which they implement these types of transactions would be the better way to do it, because it covers a wider range of issues that the gaming industry has. So
yes,
that's the more important part.
I think it should affect its rating.
Yeah, it absolutely should affect its rating. And I think if the ESA can't self-regulate, then government should have to step in here, right? Because the response they gave, from what I can tell, is like, oh, well, we're already doing... No, you're not. You're not doing anything, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Essentially, they did respond and they said, we are looking into this, right? Which, like, without any clear intent. They've been looking into it for a while now. This stuff does take time, but it did not inspire any confidence that they would actually take action. So that's interesting, and I don't know if there's really a great fix beyond. I think that like a loot box isn't an inherently broken thing, right? I don't think that any of these microtransaction things are inherently evil, right? They can be executed in ways that are less predatory, I think, and I think that is the thing that people should be claiming for, as much as just removing them entirely, is executing them in ways that are reasonable and responsible, right? And factoring in the worst among you, right? Like, not the worst in like morally, but just like the people that are predicated towards spending irresponsible amounts of money, right? That's the issue. Yeah, like I mean, but like Moose can afford it, right? But there are people that can't afford it, and that's the issue you concern yourself with.
Or especially when it's targeting kids
that are addicted. Yeah, and they steal their parents' credit cards and, you know, do terrible stuff.
And people say, oh, well, you know, that should be the parents' responsibility. But, like, it's not that easy. You know, it's not that simple. Especially with digital purchases. It's so easy nowadays for a kid to just, you know, grab a credit card, enter it in, and, you know, spend whatever, you know? And it's like...
Yeah, half the time they don't even need to get the credit card because it's already stored on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, little Jimmy, you know, goes to school, and all of a sudden Bobby, you know, has... you know, can play as Darth Vader, and little Jimmy's like, well, what the fuck, right? I mean, maybe he didn't say fuck, but he wants to play as Darth Vader. And maybe he did say fuck if he's playing on Xbox. But anyway, maybe he wants to play as Darth Vader, and he's like, this isn't fair. I want to play as Darth Vader. Goes home, and he's like obsessed with it. That's all he can think about, because he's, you know, a little kid, and he really wants to be as cool as his friend. So he goes and steals his mom's credit card and buys enough credits to play as Darth Vader.
Yeah, and I don't like the excuse of, well, they let me be evil, so I should be allowed to be evil, right? Like, that's not, but you should hold yourself to a higher esteem than that, right? Like, you should if you believe that like games are this intersection of art and business, like that's fully giving up any sense of anything besides a machine that grinds money out of little children, and like that's not that feels like it's conceding any position. It's not good.
And like, my stance isn't that they shouldn't be able to monetize post-launch, right? Like, I love the Overwatch model, you know, and the Sea of Thieves model and whatever, right? It's just they have to be more responsible with it.
Which I don't think is too hard of a request.
No.
And I just want to add one thing. Maggie Hassan, if you're listening, I voted for you, and you know I support you. So if you know I work real close to the Capitol. So if you want to take me on a little tour of the
or if you want to come on the podcast and talk about Sonic kart racing games, then we're also down for that.
Just know you have my support in this fight against the ESRB in
the ESA.
Games. You got my support.
Maggie,
you're always welcome on the podcast.
Yeah, known fan. Number one, the winner of the giveaway. Not true. But I think that's sort of it for the news this week. If there's anything, like I said last week, that you want us to cover next week, leave it in comments on the YouTube upload of this. Leave it in, tweet it at Jump Up Supercast on Twitter, and we can look and see if it's something that we think is worthy of talking about. But we now get to move to a treat for me, to be honest. Our young friend Brandon has asked last week on air, hey, can I run the game this week? The fun game that we do every week on the show, where we just get to test a little bit of gaming trivia knowledge. And without further ado, Brandon.
I'm very glad that Brandon gets to do this, though, because he is the best member of the Jump Up Supercast, and he's very handsome and
What
sexy.
is this? What is this?
Very handsome and very sexy. So, you know, I'm very glad he gets to do the game this week.
Okay, that was good.
I agree. And we should all follow his example. Also, Yoko Lintner has some nice big fat anime titties.
Pardon?
Wow.
Hello.
You guys are really nice.
Pardon?
I appreciate that, man. What a great segue into me taking over as the game show host.
This is disgusting.
So good.
I feel honored. I feel special, and I'm gonna do my best to be the best game show host that I can be. And I wish I had a jingle, man. If any of you know how to make a good game show jingle that we can use out there,
Having fun
tweet us.
with
That'd be great.
Brandon. He's doing a game show now.
I can't
Better
believe
than
I said
that. That's your inspiration, though.
Yeah, build off that.
So yeah, you can build off of it. But anyway, so what we're gonna do here for our video game trivia. It's gonna be just that. It's gonna be trivia. And how this is gonna work is that you guys, there's gonna be 5 questions, okay? And for each question, you guys are gonna get to say how many points that you want to use on this question. So you're gonna have 5 different point values. You're gonna have 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. What's going to happen, I'm going to read you all the categories, and before I ask the question too, I'm going to tell you the category for the question. Based on the category, you're going to slide into my DMs on Discord. You're going to tell me how many points that you want to use for this question. So you can only use each point value once. So, let's say the category is, for example, Mario, and you know everything about Mario. You feel real confident. You're going to slide your 9 right over to me, all right? You're going to say 9. That's the amount of points that you're using. You guys following?
Yep.
Kinda, yeah.
All right. So you can only use each point value once. If you get it right, you get the points. If you get it wrong, points are gone. You can't get them again. All right? So that's how it works.
So what's the point values? 9, 5.
1, 3, 5, 7, 9.
Yes, 1, 3, 5, 7, and
Okay.
9. That's how it's going to work. So we're going to start with the first question here.
Oh, what are the categories
Actually,
before we lead
that,
off? Yeah.
I'm going to give you all 5 categories first.
Okay.
So you can get a little feel of what you're going to have coming your way. All right, so the categories are Nintendo 64, movie/game cameos, time off, video game fanfics, and boss fights.
Oh my God. There's one category that I love
What's
here.
time off?
You'll
Don't
see.
worry about it. You'll have to
off.
see. You'll have to see.
Yeah,
Time
Okay.
off.
yeah.
You'll have to see it. Can't tell you the question just yet.
Sure.
All right, so we're going to start with category Nintendo 64. So go ahead and slide up into my DM.
Now, while we're doing that, give us all the categories again.
Sure. So the categories are Nintendo 64, movie/game cameos, time off, video game fanfics, and boss fights.
Okay.
All right. Looks like I got all the point values. So now here comes the question. Category Nintendo 64. The question is, 8 out of 9 developers of this hugely influential Nintendo 64 game had never worked on video games before. What is this game? 8 out of 9 developers of this influential N64 game have never worked on a video game before this. This was their first game.
So there were 9 people total that developed this game.
Yeah, lead developers.
Oh, lead developers.
Lead
Okay.
developers.
Lead developers. 8 out of 9.
9.
But it's a pretty huge N64 game, so.
That's the hint. How was supposed to answer? Blurt it out or type it or?
Nope, you type it in, you slide right into my DMs with your answer as well.
Yes, and then he will, after we've all locked in, we will all verbally say our answers, and he will tell us who was right and who was wrong.
Yep. All right, so we're going to do it in the order for the first question the way I wrote them down on this piece of paper. Actually, you know what? We're going to start with the birthday boy. Noah, happy birthday, by the way.
Happy
This recording
birthday.
is Noah's birthday.
Thank you.
So, Noah, you bet 7 points on the category. What was your answer?
Super Mario 64.
Super Mario 64. All right. That is an influential N64 game. So, Saf,
Ocarina of Time.
you bet 5 points. What was that? Ocarina
Yep.
of Time? Okay. All right. Another big N64 game. Will, you bet 5 points.
I did. And I guessed GoldenEye 007.
GoldenEye
I completely
007.
forgot
All
that
right.
game existed. Oh shit.
And Muzzy, you bet 7 points.
Yes, and I also bet it on GoldenEye 007.
On GoldenEye 007.
Fuck.
Muzzy and Will, you'd be happy to know that the answer was GoldenEye 007.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So at the end of the first round, Muzzy is ahead with 7 points, followed by Will with 5, and Noah and Saf got 0. But there's still plenty of time to catch up.
Treasure this, because I'll never be ahead again.
Yeah. All right, so question 2. Category, movie/game cameos.
Oh, boy.
This is going to be a good one. How well do you know movies?
So after this, there is fanfic, that sticks out in my mind. There's boss fights, and what's the other one?
Yeah. Time off.
Time off.
Boss fights is a very, very broad thing, man. That's scary.
It is very broad, but it's a very good question.
Why did I do that? I messed up. I put the wrong number. It's fine. I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with the number that I gave.
Okay. Are you sticking with
I believe.
it? All right.
I believe.
Believe. I'm waiting on Noah's number here.
I got nothing to lose, baby.
He's being strategic.
Okay, all right, got all the numbers. All right, so, question, movie/game cameo. Towards the end of the movie, The Cabin in the Woods, a gallery of monsters is shown for a few seconds. Along with other iconic film monsters, 2 of those creatures are from what video game series?
Are you shitting me? You picked the one movie that
These are really difficult questions.
Oh, I never got... Oh, I hate you, Brennan.
If you haven't seen Cabin in the
You
Woods,
know why I
it's a
couldn't
fucking
see Cabin in the
fantastic
Woods.
movie.
Oh, shit.
I don't remember any monsters.
I'm a big fan.
Cabin in the Woods
That's
is
the
great,
issue. Cabin in the Woods is actually a very good movie.
No, it had nudity
Oh,
in it, so I
wait,
couldn't-
Repeat the question again, sorry.
Sure. Towards the end of the movie, The Cabin in the Woods, a gallery of monsters is shown for a few seconds. Along with other iconic film monsters, 2 of those creatures are from what video game series?
Question:
Yes.
Are they from the video game, or do they just share a video game with other things?
They are specifically from one video game series. They don't appear in anything else.
No movies.
They do not appear in any other movies. No.
Okay. I think I know it.
Fuck it. Just go for a guess.
It's 2. You don't have to name the 2. You don't have to name the 2 monsters.
Okay.
I will tell you after. You just have to name the video game series that they are from.
Oh, the video game came afterwards. Damn it.
I might be wrong on this. Oh man.
I'm gone definitely wrong. I have no fucking clue. I'm just
gonna wing it.
It's either that or just...
Well, you might get it right. Who knows? All right, all the answers locked in. I'm going to start with Muzzy. Muzzy, for 3 points. What did you guess?
I guessed Resident Evil.
Resident Evil.
Biohazard.
That's a good guess. Biohazard. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Would Resident Evil being a movie disqualify that?
No. It's a video game series. I mean, well, with what I said, I guess it kind of does. But anyway, spoiler alert. Saf, for 9 points, what did you guess?
Left 4 Dead, fuck it.
Left 4 Dead?
Just go for something.
Yeah, that's a good answer, too.
Yeah.
Now, Noah, for 3 points, what did you
Silent Hill.
Silent
I
Hill.
should have picked Silent Hill.
He might be right. Oh,
that's a good one. That's a really good one.
And Will, for 7 points.
I said Left 4 Dead.
Yes. Left 4 Dead. Well, the correct answer is Left 4 Dead.
What?
Fuck!
Yes.
What?
Yes.
There was in the boxes. There
It's
was
the witch, right?
And
Yes.
a boomer.
I did not see the boomer, but I remember the witch.
Yep.
Yes, man.
So
I'm
good
very
job.
happy.
Good job, Will, and good job, Saf.
I don't deserve those 9
So
points.
the score going into round 3 is Will with 12, Muzzy with 7, Saf with 9, and Noah with 0.
It's only going downhill from here.
Noah, you got your 9 still. You can still do this.
All right.
So the category is time off.
What
Go
the
ahead and
fuck
give
is
me your
time off?
point totals. Time off. It's a weird category, but it's the only category I could come up with for this question.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
All right, so I got all my points. I got all my points in. According to a UK news agency, an approximate 14% of working men, that would account for a total of around 2 million men, called off sick just to play what game on its day of launch in 2013?
Oh shit! Oh fuck!
I'm pretty sure I know this
I think I know this one. I can't believe I bet that point! Fuck! Oh,
That's the thing. Sometimes it's like,
Yeah.
you're not sure about the category, but you end up.
Oh, I get it. That's why it was time off. I
Yes,
get
yes,
it.
yes. I get it.
I swear to God, I better get this wrong.
Wait, what year was it?
It was 2013.
I only
13.
have one possible guess.
Wait, shit, that won't be it then.
Well, I guess there could be two. Do I have to get the subtitle right? I don't.
No.
What?
So, yeah, 2 million men.
2 million, yeah.
14%
whatever.
of working men called off sick just to play this fucking game.
I believe I know it
the
is.
day it came out. It's insane.
Oh wait, it's 2013.
I remember specifically, I actually had the day off when this game came out, just by coincidence, and boy, was I happy. So, all right, I got all the answers in. We'll start with Saf this time.
I'm gonna just go for Battlefront.
Battlefront for 1 point. Battlefront.
I don't even know.
Okay. All right. Will, for 1 point.
I say Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh shit.
Grand Theft Auto 5. Okay. Muzzy for 9 points.
See, I went all in just because I didn't know what it was and I thought it would be the best thing to do. Grand Theft Auto 5.
Grand Theft Auto 5. Okay. And Noah for 5 points.
FIFA.
That's a great guess.
All right. I mean, it was reported by a UK news agency.
Yeah, he used the information there.
But the correct answer is Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said
forgot that came
2013.
out
I was
that
like,
year.
what's the biggest game
Yeah.
in 2013?
What's the biggest
It's Grand
game?
Theft
Yeah.
Auto.
Yeah. You know, the original question didn't have the year. I just ended up at, like when I first wrote the question, I didn't have the year, and I reread it. And I was like, maybe it's too hard without the year.
The year made it too easy for me, though. But see, because
Well,
first I was like, maybe... I was thinking maybe a Call of Duty game. That's why I was like,
Yeah.
subtitle, I don't know,
Yeah.
Call of Duty, whatever came out
Well,
that year.
I thought the year might help, like it's not, it doesn't
No, I
give
think
it
that
away,
I think
but
that
it
was a
helps
fair
it out.
question.
Yeah.
Two people got it right, 2 people got it wrong. That's what you want when you decide a question.
So what are the point totals, Brandon?
So, the point total right now, if I can do math, which I hopefully can, Will has 13 points. Muzzy in the lead with 16
Boom!
points. Oh, shit. Turning the corner, passing Will. And Saf is third place right now with 9 points. And unfortunately, Noah is still in last with 0 points. So...
I'm excited.
You can get it, Noah. You can get it. This next one, I got my feeling for you. I got my feelings.
Oh, boy.
All right. So the next category is video game fanfic.
Let's do this.
This should be everyone's 9.
Yes,
This is every
gotta be a
category.
good one. Wow, you guys slid real quick into my DMs on that one.
Yeah.
All right. So video game fanfics. Question is, with 4,061,129 words spread across 220 chapters. This fan fiction is one of the longest works of literature in the English language.
I can't believe I didn't use my fucking points on this one.
It
God,
is a fan fiction about what Nintendo series?
I can't believe this.
I know
I
this
fucking
one.
know this one. Damn it! And I used my
think I
1
do.
point on this. Fuck.
All right, got all the answers in. Noah, I'm gonna start with you because you seem pretty upset. You bet 1 point. What did you answer?
Smash Brothers Brawl.
Okay. You only had to give me the series, but I'll take the game. I'll take it as Smash Brothers for the series. Muzzy, what was your answer?
I guessed
For
Super
5
Smash Brothers.
Super Smash Brothers. All right. And Saf for 3 points. What was your guess?
Super Smash Brothers.
Oh shit, we got 3 Super Smash Brothers. And Will for 9 points. What was your guess?
It's Super Smash Brothers. The name of the
Super Smash
entry.
Brothers.
The name. Can I give you the name of the fanfic?
You can give me the name of the fanfic. I won't give you bonus points.
No, I don't want it. Is it the Subspace Emissaries World's Conquest?
Yes, it is.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
It is.
He is still in the
don't
middle
think-
of reading it.
I will always be in the middle of reading it as the secret. I can never
Yeah,
finish it.
no, please, no spoilers. I'm only on chapter 217, so please.
Don't worry. I won't. That's my favorite thing in the world. I love dumb fanfic.
All right, so we're going into the final round here with Noah in the back with 1 point.
He's on the board, folks.
He's on the board, though. He did it. He did it, finally.
Good job, Noah.
Saf, you're in third with 12 points.
Catching up.
I got Muzzy sliding back into second place with 21 points. And Will's heading up the pack with 22.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
so close.
So the only outcome here is if I tie with Will, if I get this and Will doesn't. So Will, get this wrong.
Yes, because you both only have 3 points left, so.
Oh boy. Wait a minute. Then how do I have one more point than he does?
Muzzy got his. Oh no, Muzzy has his 1. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have to get this.
The best you could do is tie.
Yeah, the best I could do is tie. If Will gets
That's
it
all right,
wrong,
because I have a
then I win.
tiebreaker round just in case of the situation,
boy.
so don't you guys worry if this happens. Moving on to the last category here, boss fights. And the question is, what 2004 PlayStation 2 game, later re-released on the PlayStation 3, the 360, and the 3DS, featured a boss that can be defeated by not touching the game for a week?
I have no idea.
I know this one.
It was on the 3DS?
It
Yes,
was.
it was,
Can you tell me what
was.
console it was on again? I mean, I'm just gonna guess. I don't
Yeah,
know. But
Okay, 2004 PS2 game, later re-released on the PS3, the Xbox 360, and the Nintendo 3DS, featured a boss that can be defeated by not touching the game for a week.
I know this one, Moose.
I think I know this one, but I'm surprised it's on 3DS.
All I'm thinking of is fucking. No, this is absolutely wrong. No, because I keep jumping to something completely different.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to start with Saf then.
Resident Evil. It's
with
not
7
right.
points.
Resident Evil, go.
Resident Evil, okay.
I don't know.
All right. So, let's go to Noah.
The only one I
9
could think
points.
of was the old man in Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. Whereas, like, he was the sniper or something, he would die of old age if you shut off the game for a week or something.
He would.
Okay.
That's the only one that came to
Muzzy.
mind.
For 1 point.
see, I also guessed Metal Gear Solid 3 only because you said 3DS and PS2, and I was like, I know it's on the 3DS.
that was a close to
I added
launch
that in
game.
there to kind of help people
Yeah.
along that might not know that for sure. So, and Will, for 3 points, what did you guess?
It is the end from Metal Gear Solid 3.
Metal Gear Solid 3. Okay. Well, the correct answer is Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah, you almost threw me off because I couldn't believe it was on the 3DS for a second. I was
It
like,
was. It was pretty early on in the 3DS's lifespan.
Nintendo touted it as a big thing. It was not the
Yeah.
same game, not the same
So
content.
you could leave your game on for a week and he just dies
Of old age.
of old age, or you could just change the internal game clock if you were a cheap bastard.
Yeah, cheap bastards.
So I want to do one last thing.
Oh, fuck.
I want to switch it up.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to add one last extra bonus round here.
oh shit.
Okay? So what you're going to do is take the amount of points you have. I'm going to ask you one last question, and you're going to bet the number of points. You're going to tell me in DMs how many points you want to bet.
Oh shit.
There's not going to be a category.
What?
So
Come on!
I mean, I have nothing to lose. Go for it.
What the heck? Come on! All
I'm
right.
not going to give you a category.
What are our point totals right now?
So the point totals right now heading into this bonus round is Will with 25, Muzzy with 22, Saf with 12, and Noah with 10.
All in,
Fuck.
baby.
Oh fuck! I could definitely lose this if no fucking. Oh
I
shit!
mean, Will could play it safe.
hate this.
Will could play it safe and try to hope everybody else gets it wrong. Or he could just say, well, somebody's, gonna probably go all in. I might as well too. You will see.
I made a mistake now that I think about it. I miscalculated.
Mistakes were made.
All right, Saf, I need your point total.
Oh shit! I can't believe I'm gonna do this. Oh, I could definitely lose this.
Point them all, Saf, so we can lose together.
Wait, how much does Noah have? How much does Saf have?
Huh?
How much does Noah have versus Saf?
I have 10.
Noah has 10. Saf has 12.
You know what? I'm all in. Either
Do it, yeah.
or I don't lose.
All right, so
Do it, Muzzy. Do it, Muzzy. Do it.
Muzzy already.
This is already locked
I
in.
locked in.
Oh,
Yeah. Question is, according to an official Nintendo character guide, what is Yoshi's real name?
Oh, I know this.
fuck.
Can I? Do I have to type? Do I have to?
This is from an official Nintendo characters guide. This is Yoshi's real name.
If I
don't know
spell
how
it a
to
little bit
spell
wrong,
this.
is that fine?
I don't know how to spell
That
that.
is fine. I mean, as long as you get most of it right. As long as I can read it and know that it's the correct answer. Spelling isn't important as long as it's
I think
close to
spelling
the
should be
correct.
very important.
Moose, stop. Shut up.
I don't know if it's either that or the other one, but I'm gonna go for that one.
All right, so we're gonna start with the man in last place. Noah, you bet 10 points, and your answer was
I just went with something generic, lizard.
lizard.
My good
it is
friend,
incorrect.
Lizard.
You are it
Lizard.
is incorrect. Noah drops down to 0 points. Oh man, Saf
Okay, was he?
for 12 points. What did you guess?
It was either T. Yoshinoris or the one that I finally went for, T. Yoshisaur Manchukupa.
T. Yoshisaur Munchakoopa for 12 points. Well, Saf, you got it right. You doubled your point total. You got 24 points now. Now
Damn.
it's all up to Muzzy and Will. Muzzy, what did you say?
Man, what did you bet?
I bet
What did you bet?
14 points for T. Yoshisaur Munchakoopas.
T. Yoshisaur Munchakoopa, you also got it correct. So your final score is 36 points.
Yeah.
That puts you ahead of Will for now, unless Will got it correct. Will, for 23 points you bet.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Going all in. What was your answer?
I bet T. Yoshisaur Munchakoopas.
Well, Will, that puts your total up to 48.
Boo.
So you
We
blew
did
past
it.
the competition at that end in that final round. I gave you guys a chance.
I
You all failed.
should have just gone all in. I should have went all in.
You should have believed. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered because I did
You only
higher.
had 44 if you went all in. But congratulations, Will.
Thank you.
Bravo!
You won. So I guess next week you can get your game show hosting abilities back.
Yes. I mean, if I could recommend this, I don't know. We're going to do it live on air, so get ready, folks. The winner of the week's show game should then host the next week's game. Does that seem fair to everyone?
Yeah, we can do that.
That seems very fair.
Way to avoid just a super long streak of being unbeaten and to get everyone in the mix.
Yes.
Yeah,
that sounds
agree.
good.
All right, so
So I hope you guys enjoyed my trivia show.
Brandon, well done. Very proud of you. That was really good. You know what else are pretty good? Putting things on the list. That's what we're doing right now.
Oh,
After last week, we saw, frankly, I'd never seen such an outpouring of love for Stardew Valley than when I saw in my DMs, in my
The list is
responses
canon, you shut
to
up.
last week's podcast. People acknowledged how it was robbed, being put at number 5, below Mario 3D Land.
I know,
You guys
right?
made the final decision?
Hold on, this is the last time you can ever complain about this because the list is canon. So we.
Oh, bud. It's the last time that I can complain about this, but guess who can complain about it next week?
the internet.
Also Noah, whenever I
People
write a note
hate
for
this
him.
list.
Well,
Uh-oh.
but here's the issue, though. We have given the reins to a man who I don't know where he will lead us. I'm concerned. I'm scared. I'm worried. Because this is the week that Saf steps up to bat to add a game to the list. Saf, speak your mind.
I wonder what I'll pick Phoenix Wright Trilogy.
Trilogy.
You can't
What are
do
you
a trilogy.
talking about?
Hold on.
You can't do a trilogy.
I don't
Phoenix
pick
Wright-
one
no,
game,
that's an
Saf.
official game. No,
I don't
the official
care.
game
No,
is the
no,
Phoenix Wright-
no,
If you
no,
can put,
no,
if you can put in
no,
Trilogy, I would put in Phoenix Wright
no,
Trilogy.
no,
We're editing this out, but we don't count compilations.
no,
No, no, no.
No.
Compilations
No.
bullshit.
You put in You put in the fucking...
We did put in Treasure Trove. He has a point.
No.
Treasure Trove is how the game started.
DLC.
Because
That's how the
you
game-
can't. Yes, it's under the umbrella.
spun
It
it off
started
later.
out as. Yes, it started out with the initiative of having 2 expansions come along the way. Phoenix Wright Trilogy was 3 separate games that got released over the span of 5 years. They're wholly separate. They were sold as separate products. They included them together on a future console. It's like putting in the Metal Gear Solid HD collection. You just can't do it, Saf.
Stealing.
I guess so, yeah.
Saf's a sack of shit. Everyone.
No, I don't. Yeah.
Someone
Like putting the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy over each separate game. Which
All right. Okay, so Saf, pick a
That's
game.
my second choice.
Pick a singular game.
Alright, so just pick one of the Phoenix games then.
I'm gonna pick the... I'm gonna go for the first one.
All right.
Okay.
So Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, just straight up. All right.
Just straight up, the first...
Oh, what a game!
What a game.
What a
It's
game.
a really good one.
Okay, so Saf, tell us what you think about Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney.
I think it was a great entry point in regards to visual novels. It started off as a somewhat serious murder investigation, and then it just led into some of the more goofier stuffs. And the story was interesting. The characters were fun. I love Maya; she was brilliant, and the music was fantastic in that game. The music was really well done.
Yeah, who would have thought a game about law and... Well, actually, murder mystery is an interesting topic, but I never thought I'd like a game that takes place in a courtroom before.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they had some fun characters. I love the judge. I love Edgeworth. I love his character arc of how he learns to be, or he learns about the true meaning of justice, in the weirdest Japanese way. There's a lot to like about this game, and that's why I put it below Stardew Valley.
Below Stardew Valley?
Below Stardew Valley is way too low for me.
Way too low.
Yeah, I am not happy with that at all. This game is very special to me.
Why is it special?
Not only because it was my entry point into visual novels or whatever, but just the way I got obsessed with this game. I literally beat that game in a weekend, which is crazy. It's a long game. No, the game is just fantastic, and I think what a lot of other, specifically in this franchise, what the games in this franchise suffer from is not feeling as a complete game in of itself. I think a lot of visual, because a lot of the sequels depend on you playing the previous games, right? Yeah. Justice for All is worthless without playing this game.
Sure.
Yeah.
And even in a lot of other, people say Virtue's Last Reward is fantastic, right? But I think once again it depends on you knowing 999, whatever. The way that this tells a complete story, beginning to end, leaves enough wiggle room where you can expand with sequels. But it's self-contained, great story before Phoenix Wright went off rails. And just everything about it is great. The reveal of the grand villain at the whole final case is fantastic, right? I don't want to spoil, even though it's a really old game.
That's so good.
It's just so many good, just not just the final case, so many plot twists. It's hard to, you get that moment where you build up, you start off, you don't know anything about what happened, and you find clues here and there, and then you start seeing little hints of who's doing what, how this happened, and then you're like, that's it. That's what happened. And you get that moment of satisfaction.
Ties together at the end, right? It's just wonderful, so wonderful.
But I think a thing that I want to mention and take note of, right? A thing that and stick with me for a moment. The thing that someone who's a big fan of Dota that I was talking to once said was the thing that makes Dota 2 so good is that basically it's an entire game compacted in an hour, right? You have the whole arc of character growth of seeing the tide turn, of having a character go from being super weak to super strong, right? And I think that not in a gameplay mechanic, but within each individual case, there is a complete story in Phoenix Wright. There's a complete game's narrative. There's a beginning, middle, and end. There's characters that are relatively self-contained with a few carryovers, but the culmination of each of those cases could be the culmination of any other game's story, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think a thing that I want to celebrate, just make note of specifically, is how important like the sound design of that game is in a huge way, right? Like obviously there's huge things like objection and hold it, right? And like and just those like those impactful moments, but just like the music when you're about to crack the witness and you're about to figure out where they're lying, and the way that Phoenix builds up ahead of steam, and the way that like the text scrolls faster as they get more and more disheveled, and you see them lose their composure so much because they were so frustrating at the start, and to see them fall apart because of your scrutiny and your ability to solve this puzzle is as satisfying as like you will get within that genre, right? And I think that the format of a court case is important for that, in the same way that like another visual novel like Danganronpa has too, right? Of that act of discovery is so enjoyable.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned the sound design, I think one of the things I never really thought about, but like just has such a big impact, right? Is when it's just completely silent, and then like right then like Phoenix knows he's onto something and he slams the desk, you know.
Yes, the desk slam is so good.
It's such a great moment. That's when you know you're like bringing it all together, right? And you're just about to shut this case down, right? It's man, it's great. I would put it at number 2 right now, personally.
Moose, this is wild.
Come now.
Okay, before we get too crazy, because I haven't really said how I feel about this game. I was perspective on it. I love this game. I will never forget the first time I decided, I feel like I took a plunge, right? Because it's one of those things, you see it, and just the idea of it, you're like, okay.
It was dumb. Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, this, who cares? I don't want to play as a lawyer.
Yeah, why would you want to read?
I didn't have any appeal to me when I first heard of it. But then I started hearing things, like people saying it was real good, and I liked, just seeing the screenshots. I was like, well, the art style looks cool, like kind of humorous, but also like, the character design's cool. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to buy this game. I'm going to try it out. And I fell in love with that game. Like, it was just, a fucking snowball effect that, and I didn't play the first one until I think all 3, the original DS ones were already out.
Yeah.
And I don't know how. I feel like they were released pretty quickly here in America.
Yeah, there was pretty fast pace to it.
Yeah, so I just remember, just snowball effect of me, powering through one, all of a sudden, playing the next one, playing the third one, and I was so obsessed with it. Like I would be at work, I'd go on break, and I'd have to play. I would have to play it. I'm like, I have to keep playing this game. It was so good, and the story just, man, it was. Everything about the game, the story, the music, the only thing about the game that you could maybe take a knock at would be the gameplay itself.
What gameplay?
Because it's not really tons of gameplay.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think that there is a type of gameplay that comes with these type of games that is obviously it's less intensive. It's more reading, but I think that the gameplay is the figuring out. It is the sitting there staring at your system, trying to see how these things piece together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a puzzle game in long form.
It's in the same way that like solving a puzzle, like a sliding block puzzle in a game, right? Like the act of solving it, like by pressing the buttons, isn't the engaging part. It's figuring out how to get to that end goal.
Absolutely.
Moose, I'm looking at this list. You want to put it at number 2?
I genuinely do.
Moose, I think I want to join you on this quest.
Yes.
What are you doing to this list? What are you doing to this list?
I think I want to put it at number 2.
It's and this is not a knock against the games below it. It's just Phoenix Wright is just such a amazing experience beginning to end,
And I want to make a mention of this because I think that obviously there were visual novels that existed before Phoenix Wright, but I think that for a generation of gamers, I think we can say, right, this was the first visual novel experience that they went through.
Oh yeah,
right. That it was
for me it
was defining to a whole genre, not just in the way of like I said last week. I mean, that Stardew Valley was like the pinnacle of its genre, right? This wasn't that. This was the
the game that made the genre.
Yes, it made the genre for a lot of people. It defined what it is to many of them, and I think that should be celebrated in a list that right now has a lot of iterative games. I think we can say that Donkey Kong Country 2 is an iterative game off of Donkey Kong Country 1. Shovel Knight is iterating on Mega Man. 3D Land is iterating on Mario that came before. Stardew Valley with Harvest Moon. I think that for the experience of us having played this game, for it having been a breakthrough experience that, like, you know, we played Danganronpa V3 last year, right? We are still into this genre. We still are engaged with it. Even if the series of Phoenix Wright itself is not in the same position it was back then, Danganronpa couldn't have happened without Phoenix Wright. 999 couldn't have happened.
It opened the door for me into, you know, wow, all of a sudden I love these games, right? Like, I want to play... you know, it's why I played 999 and, you know, Virtue's Last Reward.
Yes.
It's why I played Danganronpa and fell in love with Danganronpa. It's why I still want to play Hotel Dusk, for fuck's sake.
You haven't... Oh, shit, you need to get on that.
No, I haven't, and I want to. So bad.
You need to do so. Yeah.
But I think that...
And Nekopara, by the way.
You take the good, you take the bad. But I think that for those reasons, I think that it can actually sit comfortably at number 2.
What if there's legitimately better games than this? You gotta actually put that below that.
I am almost on board with you, Will and Muzzy. But I would put it at number 3. I just
below Donkey Kong Country 2.
Below Donkey Kong Country.
I can't see myself putting it above Donkey Kong Country 2.
Oh, and by the way, you can see the list currently in the show notes, just to be clear.
Yes. And the description for every show, you should be able to see it on your podcast app. Okay. Brandon, I think I can agree with that. Moose, are we willing to see it at number 3?
I mean, I want to see what everyone else says first, but I mean, I'm willing to see it, but I still think it deserves number 2 at the moment. Noah?
Because my main contention...
I mean, we can all agree Saf is too low right now, right?
Yeah. No, it's way too low.
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Okay.
Man, why you guys keep picking good games?
So we need to get some garbage in here.
We wouldn't have as fun of a debate if it was garbage. I mean, we would if... Right now, I don't think we would.
Once we add more garbage and we debate the garbage, it'll be fine.
Let me tell you why Donkey Kong 64 should be higher than Donkey Kong Country 2.
I will kill you. I will literally kill you.
Agreed.
I'm fine.
On putting it higher than this. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, hold on. No, how do you feel about Phoenix Wright? Number 2. Me and Will are at a number 2 right now, and Brandon is a number 3. Will is willing to negotiate. However, what do you feel?
I'll go for number 2.
All right.
Oh my gosh!
I think...
See, for my thing was, if we're going to put Phoenix Wright at number 2 right now, and I know it's going to, you know, get knocked from number 2 eventually.
Yeah.
But that just means, in for my opinion at least, that every one, except for maybe 1 or 2, after it have been better.
Yeah.
And that just means the entire top is going to be
So I'm not sure I agree that every Phoenix Wright...
And I
No, I don't think so.
I think the first game in particular has a special place that I would easily, in my personal list, it's in the top 3, and then I bump it up even more just for the fact of it being the landmark game in the series, right? And like I said earlier, it is the only game in the series where it has like a perfect beginning to end, doesn't rely on previous games while still being amazingly strong, right?
Well, I'm just saying, if that's number 2 right now, then
I mean, that's a debate for later, but I don't...
third game is number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's what I feel. Like, I feel so the third game is just a very far better game than the first one. And I don't feel it would be right to put this to number 2 and then the third game being somewhere down below, because it improves on a lot of the...
I mean, but I also get it, you know, that we are going to add more.
But we're going to add more games, and it's going to look different. And of the list right now, I would still put Phoenix Wright at number 2, personally. Like, that doesn't... Yeah.
Yeah, and like I think that even I think that like I said before, when you factor in different parts of the equation, it's not just the quality of the game; it is the circumstance surrounding it. Right, Ocarina of Time is at number 1, not only for the quality of game that it is, but because of the circumstances of what Ocarina of Time forwarded the medium of video games for, right? And I think that in the same way, the way that Phoenix Wright expanded the audience of a whole genre puts it at this point at number 2. I think I'm at number 2.
So are we locked in? Because if we're locked in,
I think we have 3 for number 2.
3 for 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
And no one's, and Will, you don't want to wiggle, right? Because I'm confident with number 2 personally, but I don't know if Brandon convinced you or not.
Brandon, can I what?
If you could convince me or Noah.
No, if he already had convinced you, I mean.
Yes.
Or are you firm?
No, I mean, yeah. I think I'm cool with 2.
Okay.
All
right. We did it.
So it is what it is.
Right.
That was the
number
fastest
2,
ranking we've had so far.
and that was also, I think, potentially one of the least argumentative about it. It's a good game. Is the answer?
Good game.
There's flaws, but I think it's of note. So right now the list stands: number 1, Ocarina of Time; 2, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney; 3, Donkey Kong Country 2; 4, Shovel Knight Treasure Trove; 5, Super Mario 3D Land; 6, Stardew Valley; 7, Crash Bandicoot; 8, Metroid Other M; 9, Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. We're adding the 10th game, gonna be in double digits next week. Noah's stepping up to the bat on that one, so get thinking, my dude. And speaking of adding on, we are adding on another show. We mentioned it last week, the Jump Up Supercast Game Club. We'll work on a name. We'll improve over time. But the announced game was Dragon Ball Fighters. Brandon's heading that up. So Brandon, when do you think that people can expect to see that in their feeds this week?
This week, I guess I would probably push for second half of the week.
Okay. Can we promise a Thursday?
Noah, can we promise a Thursday?
Sure, we can promise a Thursday.
All right, so look for your feed. It'll be the same feed as this one. It will probably not be as long as these shows, but it'll be us talking about that new release. If you have anything that you want to say about that game, let us know so we can be part of that conversation. But I think overall, so look forward to that. That's exciting. But I think overall, that's the show for the week. I had a good time. I think we did shockingly a lot more than I thought. My voice didn't give out, so I'm thankful for that.
So I have a few things I want to mention. So first of all, you can follow us on YouTube, on SoundCloud, and you can find us on any podcast services, iTunes, etc. Be sure to follow us on twitter.com at Jump Up Supercast. We have a Facebook page, Jump Up Supercast, and an Instagram. You guessed it, Jump Up Supercast. Also, we have a winner for the contest we ran. We had a Monster Hunter World contest, a giveaway, and the winner was, I forgot, Brandon?
Nerada.
It's Mr. Nerardar.
Mr. Nerardar, winner of the Jump Up Supercast giveaway.
We're sorry we messed up your name.
Yeah, it's the internet, usernames are hard. So thank you for listening and thank you for entering. Thank you to everyone who entered. And I want to thank all of you boys for being here. And
Thankful for you having me here.
It was my pleasure.
And now, sharp-eared listeners might remember that we do have an outgoing bet. A bet that has not been paid. And so without further ado, to end this podcast, we present Musamil, The Death of Goofy.
Aha! There you are! Dramatic pause. You sure have lots of friends to help. One more dramatic pause. So I guess we better all pull together and finish this battle for good. Yes, Your Majesty. Whoosh! Look out! Goofy! No! Hey, you're the king's captain. You gotta get up. You gotta get up! I'm sorry about the ice cream. Goofy? Goofy? This is not happening. It can't be happening. It can't. They'll pay for this.
What? That's very good.